Hi there. Welcome to Cartoon Conversations, a new little podcast that me and my friend Jordan Stein. I'm Elliot Catch. We decided to start based on our love affair with cartoons from our generation. Mainly speaking, things like DC, Marvel, the good old Justice League and whatnot. And so we're pretty much just going to be sitting back, enjoying a little conversation about the deeper thoughts and feelings towards, things that are thought-provoking. There you go. That's it. Talent.
So,
okay.
We're going to try and make it a good combination of our complete love of this material. Specifically, this is about Justice League Unlimited.
We're going to start
best
out
superhero
with
show ever made.
Yeah, definitely.
And our critical adult analysis. Because we're in our mid-20s right now, and so we're much smarter than we were when we first watched the show.
Yeah,
and
so
that's going to be really cool coming back to it with a critical eye.
Yeah, so first off, we're going to kid really, really hard, and then we're going to adult a bit more. So
Yeah, that's exactly the plan. I love how our generation can just make things verbs.
Our generation.
That's like the best part about being a millennial. You just get to make everything a verb.
We don't have to care about making sense.
We should also probably talk about superheroes at some point.
Yeah, eventually.
So, basically what we're going to do is we're going to look at a big question for each episode, and then do an episode breakdown and see how that question relates. So, Elliot, why don't you introduce our big question?
Well, so first off, we decided that to start, this with our favorite of all time DC cartoon, which is Justice League Unlimited, based upon the actions of the Justice League forming their giant, team up with all these other different superheroes forming. This is the part where they create a satellite, live up there and monitor Earth, pretty much making sure that nothing bad happens to them. And obviously, things do bad happen to them, very bad. But so Justice League Unlimited, we're going to be explaining the first episode, where our big question is, what do we feel? Was this a good introduction to, the Justice League, to the bigger aspects of the cartoon? And how did we view, the premises or the motifs that were being explained or displayed? The grand scale that now not just the regular Justice League characters, like Flash, Wonder Woman, Superman, Batman, you now have other more obscure characters that our generation really didn't know about. And I'm pretty sure, the next generation hasn't heard of either, like Booster Gold, Guano Beast, Black Cat, like to rifle off a few that I'm pretty sure, like Booster Gold might have been the most well-known there, and he's really not well-known.
Yep.
Yeah. So, that was our big question as how we felt about the delivery of this first episode.
Okay, so I'm going to do the episode breakdown this week, and I'm going to start off, and Elliot's just going to stop me, and I'm going to stop sometimes.
Spew my feelings every, 5 minutes because of how much I loved this episode.
This is so good. God. These podcasts are probably going to be at least twice as long as the episodes themselves, because there's going to be just moments where we're like, oh my God, this is so smart. No kid show should ever be this smart. You didn't need to make that effort, but they did, and that makes me so happy.
You see, that's what you're going to be saying. I'm going to be in the background like, bam, bam, explosions, wow! Because, I'm still 5 years old.
You laugh, but he totally does that.
You know what?
No, I'm kidding.
Come over to your house, and I'll push you over. All right, so I guess doing smart conversation first.
So we open.
Justice League, yes?
Oh, sorry.
Tripping over each other. Alrighty. All right, so Justice League Unlimited is pretty much actually a sequel, where the first Justice League was a remake of the original cartoon, which introduced all of the characters coming together, the main Justice League cast of, as I said before, Superman, Batman, Flash, Wonder Woman, yada yada, and them all being introduced and coming together to form a team to battle off different villains and, to save the day while performing, feats of miracles and whatnot. After something occurred at the very end, I won't spoil, of course, they decided they needed, on a grander scale, a much more precise and powerful team, which they then formed Justice League Unlimited, which, fantastically enough, in the intro, which is one of the most badass guitar riffs intros
good.
I've ever seen in my life, and oh my god, it makes me wet just thinking about it, they make a reference to it because the original intro it showed all the Justice League, which was, like the 8 people there, and they were, all in red with shadow outcasting over them, and the guitar was lining up. And then as it gets louder and louder, you suddenly see there's, like 50 more people off in the background. These are all the new heroes that are going to be seen. These are all the crazy new characters that are going to be added. And we're going to be seeing so many new superpowers and new costumes. And
I also love how in that you get a just 1 second shot on the Trinity of the DC universe.
Yeah.
Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman.
Yeah.
There's just so much subtle brilliance
in
that intro.
Yeah.
Along with one of the best intro songs.
It was actually kind of funny because for a while I couldn't hear the intro song over my own screaming of how amazing I felt right now.
Yeah.
That was a joke. Never mind. Okay, so after the intro, which was fantastic, it comes into Superman. Well, it comes into... You go
You missed the opening scene. So we got our cold open. So we open on the greatest supermarket chain in America, Save Big, where everything is peaceful and people are doing their shopping. So clearly nothing's going to go wrong. Unfortunately, I'm wrong, because masked gunmen run in and empty the register.
Which is the weirdest thing, because when they live in a world where, like Superman and Batman exist, why would you bother robbing, like, convenience stores?
Also, how much money is in a supermarket register?
I don't know. There was quite a bit of change in that one. So.
Yeah, it seemed like there was a good bit of money. I don't know why, though, because no one uses money at a supermarket. They use a credit card.
I'm sure. But regardless.
But continuing on, because...
Yeah.
So, a cashier presses an alarm switch, which in any other world would be a silent alarm, but in this one is loud.
It was loud and blaring.
Because Save Big hates its employees, I guess. In my headcanon, they told all the employees it was a silent alarm that was employees. But
yeah, totally. If you're ever about to get shot on point, press the hell out of this thing. It won't alert them to anything at all. You can even do it really blatantly too, because no one will know you did it, and no one will try to kill you afterwards.
Because Save Big really doesn't want to have to pay for health insurance.
Yeah.
And they're worried somebody might get injured, which would cost them money, so they'd rather kill them.
Yeah. So pretty much what happens after that, the guy pushes the button, and one of the robbers gets all mad and pissy and threatens to shoot him, which he then says, I'm going to do it, and you can clearly see he's going to do it. So obviously he's in for, death. But just in the nick of time, you want to go?
I was going to say, but one of his compatriots tries to stop him, but he throws him off and says...
I'll feel better about it.
Yeah, I'll feel better if I kill him. At which point, the gun is shot out of his hand by Green Arrow. Yeah, it's shot by his arrow.
Well, I don't know what the terminology for that one is, but fuck.
You shoot an arrow. Is shot out.
You let it fly.
And the camera pans to our hero, Green Arrow. Another one of those great obscure heroes. Mm-hmm. And
not anymore, though, because,
but it will make me cranky.
What?
Oh, Green Lantern's line. I love he's just a great snark there. But it'll make me cranky.
Oh yeah, right. So don't kill him, it'll make me cranky.
Yeah.
Yeah. Green Arrow wasn't nearly as popular as he is now because of that whole, him having a TV series where he's fantastically handsome and I don't know.
Yeah, we might talk about that at some other point. A lot of people really like it. I had issues with it. Yeah, if this actually becomes popular, we might do something with that. That'd be fun.
I have feelings about it.
Yes.
So Green Arrow, knocks the putzes around like, a superhero would. He makes really short work of them. Yeah.
Boxing glove arrow.
Oh, yeah.
It's the most classic Green Arrow moment. I love how they included it. It's a little thing. It wasn't a big deal. It wasn't like a wink at the fans.
Oh, yeah.
But it was a beautiful moment that if you were a fan of Green Arrow, like I am, you'd notice it and appreciate it. It's just another example of this show doing really great subtle work.
Yeah, really, there were so many superheroes that didn't even really get that much light, that were such big nods to old stories and old comic books.
Yep.
Like, I can't remember what his name is. I think it was like Wildman, he was like a psychotic guy. Did the same thing that happened with the Joker. He was like dipped in acid and he went insane. And you only see him. He doesn't do anything in the series. He does something briefly in Batman Brave and the Bold. But you just see him in the background. And they really didn't have to do that. They could just make up a bunch of stupid costumes and have, characters fill in the background. But they actually they took the real heroes from before, which was fantastic. So, back to the plot.
Okay, yes. So, Green Arrow defeats the bad guys using his patented trick arrows. Yes. And he stops to give a lady a hand up, which is a great moment of him just being a helpful, down-to-earth guy.
Because he's a gentleman.
But unfortunately, a gunman is not completely knocked out, and he stands up, and he's going to shoot Green Arrow. But then Green Lantern knocks him back with his ring.
Ha! Out of nowhere comes the Green Lantern. This is Jon Stewart Green Lantern, by the way.
Who is my personal favorite Green Lantern.
Yeah, oh my God, he's fantastic. No, not Jon Stewart as in from The Daily Show. Well, not from The Daily Show anymore, as he's done. But the broad, very manly black one who is just, he's bald, I don't know, whatever. He takes shit from nobody, and he is one of the most badass Green Lanterns ever. Oh my God.
This is going to be controversial, but I really liked the interpretation there. A lot of people criticized it.
Oh, yeah.
He didn't use very creative ideas using his ring, and they bothered animating the series. Why not make him do these really creative, awesome things with his ring?
Yeah, he was just very blunt and simple.
I thought it fit his character. He shoots beams. He makes shields. He's a former Marine. That's what he does. And it's creative in its own way because he uses these basic things to do what's important. And I thought that really speaks well of his character. And
it does in a way. I mean, like, you compare him to someone like Hal Jordan or Kyle Reiner, and they're making, like, crazy stuff going on.
Yeah.
Like in the new Justice League War that came out, a little while ago.
Yeah.
Where, Hal Jordan's trying to throw, like, trains, and he's got, like, gunships coming in, and it's such...
And that works great for that character.
Yeah.
But Jon Stewart is. He's a Marine.
Jon Stewart is straightforward. All the other ones, they're a little bit more creative with their work, but he's the no-nonsense, gonna do it this way, and that's it. Yep. So he's, whatever. Okay.
So, now we're back, and Green Lantern has just saved Green Arrow's life, and Green Arrow is not grateful. There's a lot of tension between the two heroes. Green Arrow wants to do just street-level stuff and resents the grand nature of the Justice League. And Green Arrow rants, and he's brought up to the Watchtower against his will. Yeah. And now, I want to talk about this moment. This is fascinating.
Oh, the fact that they teleport him out into the Watchtower?
Yeah, they kidnapped Green Arrow, and they just left the gunman, who might not be completely knocked out, with the innocent civilians.
I don't know. I mean, there was a blast from a Green Lantern, so I feel like he's pretty knocked out.
No, that one, but there was like 6 other ones.
Oh. Hey.
And I think that's a hint of what's to come. About how the Justice League doesn't have the same concern for street-level crime that they used to. And I don't think Green Lantern thought 2 seconds about that those gunmen might not be knocked out. And I think that's a hint at one of the main themes of the show. Which we're going to see. Yeah,
they do immediately go into talking about the global scale of what they're going to do. They literally just said afterwards when they beam Green Lantern. Well, they beam Green Lantern and Green Arrow into the Watchtower, which is the giant satellite complex up in the sky, by the way, up in space. Yeah. Superman gives a rousing speech explaining to all the new superheroes, which there's just a giant crowd of them. Literally,
I counted 30. I paused it and I counted. There are 30 different superheroes in one shot.
Really?
Yeah.
And I definitely know they add more
There's more than 30 that appear in the show.
Yeah.
But in one shot together, there
Yeah.
were 30. I think there's one episode where the like weird space spiders invade, that there's going to be more.
Oh, yeah. Oh, my God.
But-
Yeah. They keep adding.
But this is huge. This is something that has never been done before. When I saw this in 2005, I was like, okay, this show just dropped the hammer.
Yeah.
Something big is going to happen.
It was pretty much like, you don't usually get that kind of scale with superhero shows.
Yeah, you're right.
Usually, I mean, like, the last thing that we could have seen that had that kind of scale would maybe be the X-Men.
You're right.
Yeah, where, all the characters are together in an academy, and most of them are young and, unexperienced. And these guys, these are the big guns knocking heads with each other. Every single one of these people is Han Solo. It's crazy.
Yeah, no, you're right. And they're coming together, and that's why I love Superman's speech.
Oh,
It
yeah.
is really cheesy. But there are some great lines here. I pulled out some quotes. He gives this really noble speech that's very Superman about sacrifice, which we're going to track that theme in this podcast.
Of course.
About being proactive, which hints at some of our coming plot lines. And then he talks about organizing and discipline, which is another further hint about some of the plot lines we're going to do.
Yeah.
And he also says what is the worst and potentially my favorite joke of the series.
Oh, yeah.
We can't all be cowboys anymore.
And then he's like, or cowgirls, and
then
and
it's
like,
the greatest
5 people chuckle.
hitty laugh ever. They 100% are laughing because it's Superman. And they
Yeah.
are so awed by the fact it's Superman that they are going to laugh at anything he said.
All right, so he creates this, the big speech, which explains all the things that the superheroes have all, they've all come together to do, to be, super, to have justice in their hearts, and he even says to make the sacrifice,
the ultimate
the ultimate sacrifice, which was nuts.
As the qualification for being able to join.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that was great. It really cuts to the nature of Superman.
Yeah. It's crazy. Like how oddly selfless he's become. This show in itself was also a really great, you see a good juxtaposition between him and Batman. Like how gritty Batman was and how really, a lot like Jon Stewart, he was very no nonsense. He was very, singular path. While Superman was very forgiving, He was very, you saw it more so in the first season, the first Justice League, like in the first episode of that one where they just meet Martian Manhunter, and it was such a clear difference between the two, how Superman accepted him wholeheartedly on the front, like to begin with, he was just like, I've been talking to him through mental whatever connection, and he's great, he's going to help us. And Batman's like, no, I have no idea who he is. I don't trust him.
I love that about this Superman. That he's so trusting, because I feel like if you're going to make a man that powerful, he has to be that good. Otherwise, he's not a hero.
We're all dead.
Because that level of power needs that level of purity.
Yeah.
That's what I feel is very important.
You see that often in some kind of comments.
So after Superman's speech, off to the side, Green Arrow is still noticeably angry about being kidnapped, as a normal human being would be.
As most people would be.
Yeah, and he talks to Batman about how he doesn't have superpowers, and he believes in the importance of street-level crime.
Yeah, he wants to go and save the little guy, which he says.
Yeah, so there's like 4 or 5 interesting things in this small scene that last probably 15 seconds.
Yeah.
But I'm only going to talk about 2 because we only have so much time.
Jordan,
so
we have as much time as we want. We have all the time in the world as I sit here and munch on my snacks.
Okay. So, first, Green Arrow is talking to Batman about not having power.
Oh, sweet honey mustard.
It's a great moment because it completely glosses over the fact that Batman doesn't have superpowers either. It leads to this And the show never acknowledges it, I think on purpose, to talk about how Batman, even though he doesn't have powers, effectively has powers. Because he's in that privileged level of superhero.
He
is
one of the
put on the
founders.
same level as Batman, which Green Arrow isn't, which will be a continuing theme in the rest of the show, which we're going to track.
Yeah.
Sorry, you were saying?
Well, no, the fact that they were saying that he's one of the founders, so he comes with that status. And they actually do a bit of this in the series where they talk about the people that have the original Justice League, and they almost treat them like idols, you know?
Yeah, you're
like
right.
The Flash sort of has these scenes where he doesn't really know what to do with it, where, you know, they talk about the Flash being one of the leading people there, and he's like, well, I don't know, I'm just, you know, kind of a funny guy. I run around a lot, and I don't know what to do with this.
And that was, I thought, a great character. Those are great character moments for the Flash.
Oh, my God, yes.
And this is also a great character moment for Batman that you could miss if you're not watching. With
are we talking about the monsters crush little guys?
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that, because
monsters, they crush the little guys? Oh,
yeah,
yeah, they're right, this is where it is. And the second one introduces the theme of the little guy.
Yeah.
Which is one of the most important themes of the show, which sets up the main conflict of the whole series.
Mm-hmm. What's more important, right?
Yeah, about how to balance fighting for the little guy and how to stop the monsters from crushing the little guy.
And especially coming from Batman, which, you know, that's what he's all about.
Yeah.
Is the little guy. That, you know, he's all about going and stopping Gotham's crime. You know, whenever he does anything, he comes back into Gotham and, you know, has his own way with the world. I don't know. Yeah. It's just crazy.
No, you're right. And I think it's great that it comes from Batman because it shows some character growth from the last series. And it shows the importance of this because Batman is the ultimate street level guy. So when he says it, it has meaning.
Yeah.
So
Stuff goes down.
So I thought that was so great. And it only took 15 seconds. And you could look straight past the scene. But it informs the rest of the series, I think.
It really meant something.
And now we can get into the actual plot of the episode.
Okay.
22 minutes in.
Yeah, Batman makes a snarky remark to Green Arrow. Green Arrow makes a bunch of snarky remarks about not wanting to be there. And Superman explains that John Jones, who is Martian Manhunter, will pretty much be like he'll be the referee. He's going to tell everyone where to go and what to do.
That's not what a referee does.
And
he's going to be the leader.
No, he's not the leader. He's like the coordinator.
Perhaps the coordinator.
The referee tells people what to do. He tells them they're off key or whatever.
No, it's more like a coach.
You know what? I'm dissolving this party.
Okay, that's a good point. So Martian Manhunter sees a nuclear accident where the red dot is clearly in China, almost certainly in Manchuria.
Oh my God!
But okay, we're
the level of me not giving a shit is so high right now.
Yeah, but the radiation isn't dispersing. So Martian Manhunter sends Green Lantern, and together they work out that his team is going to be Captain Atom and Supergirl to deal with it. Mm-hmm. And
these are some more characters that, really didn't get much screen time, but were just absolutely fantastic.
Captain Atom's going to get some really cool moments later, and Supergirl has a legitimate arc in this series.
Yeah. Oh my God, the scenes with Captain Atom were so touching, and you wouldn't really expect it, but they just come out of nowhere.
Yeah, he's a great character. He's really torn between his loyalties to his country. Patriotism is a very important virtue. Mm-hmm. And
you're an important virtue.
Patriotism is a very important virtue, especially to him. And his desire to do greater good than simply serve in a military. And he's going to struggle with that throughout the whole series. Mm-hmm. You could have made it an entire show.
Oh, yeah. Him. Oh, my God. Wait,
and it would have been amazing. Him being tied.
Doesn't he get his own show later, like a live action series?
Did he? I would totally watch that.
Yeah, me too. Regardless.
So, in the next podcast, we will tell you what we find out.
All right. So this
Green
team
Arrow,
led by the Green Lantern. Yeah.
All right, so the team's being led by Green Lantern, who is one of the original. And the power structure of the new league is that the original ones from the previous show are kind of a leadership council.
Right.
All right. So and they lead the teams.
Yes,
so
they
Green
take
Arrow
off.
demands on because he needs to be part of the mission for the plot to work.
Right.
It's kind of lame. It's kind of shoehorned in. If I was writing it, I probably would have had the transporters go down or something. I don't know. It's not good. But there is a great scene while they're walking, and they're all just setting up the dynamics, the personal dynamics of how they're going to operate in the mission. And they're just walking down a hallway. And in that, there's a great thing, because Green Lantern says they're going to Changmi, which is not a place, because the dot
did you say it was
clearly in China, but Changmi is a city in Thailand, which is not anywhere near the dot, which was in Manchuria, which is northeastern China, and Thailand doesn't even border China. It's somewhat close, but it's on the southwest.
This has really
China.
got you a tizzy, didn't it?
Yes, it's hilarious that I think they just put together two Chinese-y sounding words, and that's how they got the name, because it can't be China, because that would offend somebody.
Well, I mean, their world isn't exactly like our world. They can make up things too, so...
No, they're perfectly willing to make up things, but they just we'll see, everything looks so Chinese. And it's kind of hilarious. But because they wanted to have a bad government, they couldn't offend the Chinese because they wanted to.
Bad government.
Yeah. So, I just found that so funny. I spent like half an hour Googling Changmi to see if there was a place in China. All of it. But there's really nothing. There's some acupuncture stuff called Changmi too.
This was a cartoon conversation, not this place doesn't exist in the world conversation.
Sorry, it was really interesting. And I spent half an hour of my life Googling it, so...
I might as well go deep.
Yep. Okay, so then we get to this great scene in the Javelin, which is the ships they use to go back from Earth to the tower. And so Supergirl wants to drive because she's like a 16-year-old girl who driving is exciting.
Yeah, that's pretty much her character there.
Yeah, that's pretty much her character. Green Lantern says no, like every parent of a 16-year-old girl.
I should, yeah.
And then Captain Atom piles on, saying she isn't certified, which says great things, which really explains his character, I think.
Yeah, that's his character.
One, his desire for certification. Two, how he kind of looks down on Supergirl, and it's somewhat unclear whether it's because she's a woman or if it's because she's young. And we're going to find out later that it's because she's young. But it's a great moment because it leaves you a little bit confused about how to feel about Captain Atom. But it does it in a way that if you've already seen the show, it's not an unlikely moment that would make you dislike him.
Yeah, he started giving off the feed that he's got, a real stick in his ass for the government. And he does everything by the book. He goes by Captain. They make a joke that, Supergirl says the same thing I did pretty much and says, get the stick out, Corporal. And he takes it personally and looks forward and goes, it's Captain.
Which is a higher rank than Corporal, I guess, but I feel like she probably wouldn't know a general from a private.
China was real, but you didn't look up if Captain was higher than Corporal.
I know Captain's higher than Corporal.
For shame, Jordan, for shame.
Okay, whatever. And so then after that, she sticks her tongue out at her, which is just a great 16-year-old girl moment that I love. And then Green Lantern, and then she kind of looks to Green Arrow kind of embarrassed. Because it's a new person, 16-year-old girls want to impress the people around them. And he winks at her. Which is just another great establishing character moment. And they used almost no words to do all that. Because it shows us that playful side of Green Arrow that I love.
Yeah. Or it could be that sort of like womanizing in a way.
Yeah. That's another part of his character. Yeah. That is definitely part of the show. I don't think he gets on a 16-year-old girl, though. I think Green Arrow is above that. That in the end, he's a good person.
Sometimes, maybe, who knows? But regardless, so they fly down into this one place that apparently isn't China.
About the scene where they fly down just for 1 second.
Okay.
So as they fly out, in the previous show they had one watchtower and it was kind of bare bones.
Oh yeah, how did I forget? Jeez.
And coming out of this, they show us triple watchtower.
Yeah.
Which is so cool. They built it up, they went big, and this is where you know that this is not the old Justice League.
Yeah.
With more characters. This is something bigger, this is something better, and this is something well planned.
They really, like, the scene you watch as the Javelin launches off, you see the massive watchtower just, floating there, and it's surrounded by its own little satellites. Like, it's its own, like, little planet, pretty much.
It is.
Yeah.
That's a great way of putting it. It's its own planet. That's going to come in later and be really important.
Pretty much, yeah. So. But, in all honesty, so they have the massive, wonderful-looking scene right there. They keep going off, go down into China, and then immediately, it's good animation. Yeah. For some of these scenes, you see some honest growth in animation. You see, real work. It looks really cool. They don't slack off with that kind of crap.
Yep.
And then, pretty much then they just go down really quickly. Nothing else to really comment about.
There's one thing, I think.
What?
So, Green Arrow picks a fight with Captain Atom. Because of the nuclear power. And Green Arrow says, I think you're what I marched against in college.
Yeah.
And so, that means two things to me. One, what it probably is, that Green Arrow doesn't like nuclear power. That's kind of boring. The second one is, there might have been a Vietnam War in the DC universe.
Right.
Which I think is kind of cool. That there's still a Vietnam War, and I can imagine 70s Green Lantern protesting the war in college, burning his draft card and all that stuff.
Yeah. I really could see him doing that.
And the scene ends with just them looking away, and there's an extra second of that awkward tension that they let marinate. And that's great. All right. Sorry.
Yes.
So they land, and they're going to investigate, and a soldier fires a rocket launcher at the team, but Green Arrow sees it, warns them, and Green Lantern puts up a shield.
Hold on. Green Arrow says that he doesn't want to be a part of this, and he's actually just hanging around with them so he can leave.
Yeah.
Like, that's, in all honesty, he's just going to be there in the Javelin because they can't use the teleporter. So he'd much rather go down with the Javelin so he can be dropped off. And they said they will until, they'll drop him off after they're done with the mission.
Yeah.
So he's sitting back, watching them, go off, about to go and find out what's up with the thing. And he sees the soldiers, as he's, like, drinking from a bottle or whatever.
Yeah.
He sees the soldiers, about to fire in holy hell on them, and warns them about what's going on. Immediately he understands the situation, sees, what's bad and what's good, and kind of starts, like, breaking that little oath of him being a jerk. So immediately, he's here to help. He's here to stay.
In the end, he's a hero.
Yeah, of course.
No matter what he feels about someone, he's going to save them.
Yeah.
So, Green Lantern puts up the shield, and the following fire really has no effect because guns are just... We'll talk about guns later. But guns are just useless in the DC universe.
I don't think there's, like, a character that really does anything with guns.
There's one guy who's got 6 shooters.
Yeah!
And that's, like, the only effective guns in the whole series. We'll look at that as we go farther, but I think that's the only effective gun in the whole series.
Good old that guy.
Yeah. He was like a cowboy superhero. He's not Jonah Hex. Oh, and Jonah Hex. Also successful.
Yeah. It's not Jonah Hex, though, but whichever it is.
Yeah.
It's not
Jonah Hex. It's a cowboy
firing
superhero.
missiles at Green Lantern's shield.
And
I feel like this was a good scene because it really showed the power of the original cast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That Green Lantern was in charge, he knew what he was doing, and he not non-violently, but he non-lethally disables them without hurting them. Which was a great character moment for Green Lantern. Even though he's this no-nonsense tough guy, he's not going to hurt people unnecessarily. It
really shows he has so much control over the situation. He has so much power that he can do all these things. Yeah. He forces them back, and then he takes their guns. And no one was hurt, and no one comes out of it like feeling bad, except for those guys because they got screwed over. But
even they take it in good stride.
Yeah, they literally all just like kind of get up and say like, well, I guess this is happening and we can't do anything about it.
Yeah, and I think that's a testament to Green Lantern's discipline and intelligence.
Yeah,
which we're going to talk about a lot.
Yeah. So well, it also really shows later on, I feel, because when who actually saves the day compared to who got their butt whooped. Yeah. It really shows, everyone on the team matters. Yeah. Even like the one Green Lantern who has all this power compared to, Green Arrow who has a bunch of arrows. He has a boxing glove on the end of an arrow. Whoop-de-doo. Who's he going to save? But regardless of that.
Yeah. So after they are disabled in a brilliant way, the Shang-Mian general comes out and apologizes. He mentions that the guy who fired on them was just a farmer before the revolution.
Right.
Communism in the DC universe? We're going to discuss that. That's fascinating.
Only you can.
I love the implication of a communist regime.
Yeah. And it doesn't really get discussed much, but it shows you in little ways what this world that they live in is like.
But you know what is discussed, and they're going to use this episode to talk about a lot?
What?
How do you deal with a repressive government as a aid organization? Which is, I think, how the Justice League would
they talk about
classify themselves. They would put themselves more in with UNICEF rather than a peacekeeping organization.
They do.
Yeah, they really consider themselves a humanitarian organization.
Yeah.
And
in this scene,
how do you deal with a repressive government? Because you're not going to hurt the people.
Yeah.
But you don't want to help the government.
Yeah.
And this episode is going to bring us lots of examples to talk about that, and this is the first one.
Yeah.
So the general asks why the Justice League is there, and Green Lantern replies that, that nuclear accident? And the general says, oh, don't worry, it's under control. You can leave now. At which point, they get into a pretty terse standoff over whether or not they can see it.
So clearly, we understand it's not in control. There's a lot of devastation in the background. They're not even making mention of, but you can clearly see it.
Yeah, it's clearly not under control. But they leave. Mm-hmm. And what do you think about this moment?
Well, it was a great one because, as you said before, it shows their situation, what they truly mean to do. They're not peacekeepers, they're UNICEF, They want to help the people, but, what do they do with the governments? They back off. John says that John Stewart is talking to John Jones, Martian Manhunter, saying, I was about to slug that guy. But I didn't, I kept my cool. And John Jones says, good job. You did the good thing. And you got out of there. Which is pretty much saying, they're not going to do anything to this government. Yeah. They're not going to do anything to these people. Martian Manhunter says, we want to help the people, but to the government, we're not so sure what to do. Yeah.
I agree wholeheartedly with what you're going to say. I thought we were going to disagree here. I thought you were going to say, no, people are dying. We need to help them. And that's actually where the episode is going to fall on that idea. But I think this original part is more important because the Justice League, and this is a theme that's going to go throughout the whole show, what is the limit of their power? They effectively invaded this country who, in my mind, their revolution probably had something to do with the fact that American heroes were coming in and just doing what they wanted in their country.
Right.
That's probably a very frustrating
They didn't say
thing.
it was America or just like heroes in general. They said the foreigners.
Yeah.
Which, that also kind of says that's a really, it's a very repressive kind of thing to say.
It
you don't even
felt very
yourself,
North Korea.
Yeah, you yourself don't even know who's really in this. It's just the foreigners.
But I think the fact that all these heroes are American heroes is very important. We'll see international heroes later in the show.
Oh,
but the original 7 are almost all connected with America, with the exception of Hawkgirl, probably. I think they're all connected with America. John, and to a lesser degree, the Martian Manhunter, who he did settle and live in America for a while, it said, as, was it John Smith?
Yeah.
So
he ends up going around by himself for a bit.
I think that plays a part. That these superheroes might be a kind of form of American imperialism.
Mm-hmm. There was definitely a lot going on over there.
Yeah. So there's a lot of interesting stuff in there about how to deal with repressive governments. Mm-hmm. And I think they make the right decision here.
I totally knew they were going to come in and kick their asses anyway.
They had to because it was a show.
Yeah.
But,
they have to do it on sort of like the terms of the government.
Yeah.
They waited, they stalled, they let the people understand the government was going to do nothing to help them because it sucked dick, pretty much. But then they came in, said, you guys need help, and we're not going away anymore.
Yeah, so then how they do that is that Green Arrow and Green Lantern get in a spat about whether or not they should help. And Green Arrow just goes off and does it, because that's his character. He's not a fan of these governments. He's going to do what needs to be done. And so he goes over, and then Green Lantern and the others have to basically do a rescue mission to bring him back.
Yeah.
But they can't do that rescue mission because Green Arrow sees the monster.
Oh my God. All right.
And there is a scene before that where he saves some guy's life, which is a great character moment for Green Arrow, but there's 100 great character moments of him. So we're going to skip to the giant nuclear monster with a flaming head.
So what happened was they had made this one giant creation that was supposed to defend them from the monster, from the foreigners. It was supposed to be their protector, but it got out of hand.
Yeah.
And what this protector looks like is like Mecha Dormammu with guns for hands. It's just this giant robot that's on fire. It's insane looking.
So
it is so cool. Oh my God. Why didn't they bring it back wholeheartedly?
I wish they had brought that back. I think this giant monster is so great. One, because they must have like a Lex Luthor or someone of that level of intelligence in Chiang Mai. Mm-hmm. Because the level of engineering there is incredible.
Yeah.
One.
It was huge. It was powerful. It was so intimidating and so impressive. Oh my God.
And two, you're supposed to say, how dare you make a giant killer robot? That's supposed to be a reaction. Because you hate the general and he confronts Green Arrow after they clearly don't have it under control.
Yeah.
But
Green Arrow even just saved a guy.
Yeah.
And he's still talking shit to Green Arrow. It's nuts.
But I'm going to try and defend the government here, the repressive government here. These superheroes just came into their country and they're doing whatever they want and they're ignoring a direct order to leave by the rightful government of this country, even if they're not good people. And they might need a giant robot protector. Because what if Superman decides he wants to rule a country? What if he decides that how he can help the most people is if he becomes the ruler of the world?
Yep.
What could they do to stop it? And that's why they built this. And there's some legitimate, justified fear there.
Yeah.
Which
Definitely.
is a great hint. Another one of those great, subtle hints that you could miss if you weren't paying attention.
Yeah, you are not stopping Superman if he wants something.
Yeah.
he will get what he wants.
You know, this guy might stop Superman. He beats Supergirl.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
He roundhouses
really
Supergirl in the
great,
face.
Powerful villain.
Yeah. Yeah, Captain Atom comes in and says that he wants to try and help things because Captain Atom is literally a suit full of energy. Yeah. Captain Atom is nuts. He goes in, says that he can try and absorb the energy of, the robot. He tries as hard as he can. He starts sucking all of the radiation, the flames out of its head, and that's actually doing something, but he can't take it all. It's too much.
Yeah.
And eventually, he gets shot pretty hard. He gets, blown back.
Yeah. It was a very good moment there of fear.
Yeah.
For the audience that you're like, oh, I don't really like this guy yet, but I didn't want him to die.
Yeah. He gets shot up, and then they find out what happens is they have these cooling rods.
Yeah.
The government decided to make, the scientists made the cooling rods to try and alleviate a bit of the, if the thing ever goes haywire. But unfortunately, they can't get to it because...
Elliot, you skipped a part.
What?
You forgot the part where when they're fighting the robot, Green Lantern is injured.
Oh,
and they have to bring
right.
him down back to the ship, and...
Well, I was going to backtrack.
Now, Captain Atom sort of takes control of the team.
Yeah. Green Lantern pretty much gets shot up trying to defend all the people, and this really shows, going back from before, how powerful Green Lantern was, and then he gets knocked away by this one giant robot, and what do they do now?
Yeah, he's
Green
the
Lantern
big gun.
was their go-to guy. He was their ace in the hole.
Yeah, so that really raised the stakes here. It's a great moment for the show.
Mm-hmm.
And so they bring him back to the Javelin, and then they go and they're regrouping, and this is their lowest point moment in storytelling. And
storytelling.
And so what they form a new order, and Captain Atom and Green Arrow kind of vie for leadership.
Right.
And they say some hurtful things. Green Arrow declares himself off the team.
Yeah. He says that he's going to go and help all these people, and it's his own terms.
Yep. But Supergirl, great moment. Great, so teenage, so wise. She brings maturity here. And she says these just words that wouldn't have been great coming from either of them, could have been hurtful coming from either of them. But coming from her, they totally work. And she basically just tells them to, grow up. And then Green Lantern wakes up and he screams, Shaira.
Yeah.
Which, another great subtle moment hinting at a future plot line.
Yeah.
There's so much planning. I was not expecting to see this much foreshadowing.
In the first episode.
In the first episode.
So, he screams Shaira, and they all turn back to him, and he's like, he's up, finally. He's like, no. Yeah.
So
you have to find, there's got to be something you can do.
And then Green Arrow points out the hazmat guys, and they jump to them talking to the hazmat guys, and they're not wearing hazmat suits there. So if this place is so bad they're not wearing hazmat suits, Green Arrow is affected by radiation.
He's Green Arrow, he doesn't have to give a crap.
Yeah, I think you're just supposed to assume that because he's Green Arrow, you don't have to give a crap, but that's a plot hole. And in my mind, he had to have mesothelioma surgery after this because he got cancer. So that's just a bit of headcanon.
You're just bringing, all the glory to this, aren't you, Jordan? You're making everything sound real nice and peachy.
Yeah, well, he got it removed. It was benign.
Whatever. All right.
And
so what happens is they find out... What happens is they find out that there are coolant rods they can use to make the robot, dim down and can finally stop. But unfortunately, it gets way too hot around it because the thing is actually on fire.
Yeah.
And no one can touch it. Captain Atom says, I can do it. He picks up the coolant rods and says, I'll go in there. I can, absorb some of the energy and then stick it to the reactor core and finish it. So I forget who says it, but if you remember, I can't remember who says it. The one line about what happens if he goes in.
I don't know what line you're talking about, but...
All right, then I'm going to go for it.
All right,
I think it was Green Arrow who said that if he does, he's going to burn up.
but he's pure nuclear. What I think is interesting about this.
Well, no, they said that if he tried to go and manually get into the thing, his suit would explode, or he would burn up, he would die. He was not going to come back. And then he turns back to the person who said it. I think it's Green Arrow. Yeah. And he goes, I know. And then he just looks back. He just looks forward again, and it was crazy.
That's a great two-beat
God.
to Superman's speech.
Yeah. No, it was literally like a reference back to that, the ultimate sacrifice. Yeah. He knew in this one moment. I wish it was a three-beat,
though. I really love that moment, but we needed a moment in between. I wish that was a three-beat. That there was like some moment that foreshadowed it earlier about the ultimate sacrifice, so that this was a third beat in a series.
I don't know. I feel like it was well done.
It was well done. It was fine as a two beat. I want to talk a little bit about Captain Adam's plan, because it's not a very good plan.
Well, what else were they going to do?
Well, one, they could have planned it. They could have planned it out. You're going to do this. You're going to do this. He didn't give anyone else a role. He just kind of said, do something. I'm going to do my thing. It was a very selfish plan.
It was one of those
in the most selfless way possible.
He didn't really, they didn't have time for this kind of action. They didn't have the ability to really plan it out. Yeah. One of the characters was dying. The scene was set on fire.
Yeah.
Everyone was dying. So there you go. They didn't really have time to make a plan. And one, who was going to really listen to him? You got your 16-year-old hothead that literally ran in there and punched the robot a bunch of times.
That was awesome.
Yes, it was.
And so we're going to continue then. And the plan, well, it fails. But we get a beautiful moment of his suit is damaged.
Yeah. So he tries to go in, he can't manage it, and then he gets shot. He gets blasted. This guy gets railed really hard.
Yeah. And so he flies up into the air so he won't hurt anyone. Mm-hmm. It was the conclusion of what it is to be a hero. If I was doing my Justice League introduction, I would take a video of that, say, this is a hero.
Yeah.
This is a man who he's potentially dying.
This is a man.
And his first thought, I don't want to hurt anyone.
Yeah.
I'm going to fly up, and I'm going to make sure I don't hurt anyone. That is a hero.
He doesn't even say anything. He doesn't even go I'm going to die, or anything like that.
There's no thought there. It's only, I'm going to do what's the right thing.
Yeah.
And it's a great character, and it comes right after another great character moment for him when he and Green Arrow make up. When they shake hands right before this.
Yeah, I almost forgot about that.
Yeah.
Where he says that he's going to do it. He's going to sacrifice himself.
Yeah.
And Green Arrow is just like, you're the man, right?
Yeah. And that's the way to Green Arrow's heart. That you can be living nuclear power, which is something he hates. Mm-hmm. You can be a stick up his ass, which is something he hates.
Yeah.
But as long as you have that selflessness, that is the most important thing in the world. And I think that's what this show is saying. That what the most important virtue is a selflessness.
Yeah, that all of them can really relate to that. That's
understand. All I need to like you. That's what Green Arrow is saying there.
They're all doing that. It was crazy.
Yeah. So, Supergirl then basically picks up Captain Adam's plan.
Yeah.
And she attempts to put
she goes nuts first.
Yeah, she goes nuts. And she attempts to basically use the same plan as him, just run up and punch him in the face with the carbon rod. And it works about as well.
She's upset. She's distraught. Yeah. She's a teenager. That's pretty much what's going to happen.
But really, all the Justice League are kind of like parents to her. So seeing one of them die was very traumatic for her.
Yeah, especially one she was just working with.
Yeah, especially one she was just getting to know.
Mm-hmm.
I feel that kind of reframes that scene in the Javelin where she sticks out his tongue at him.
Mm-hmm.
where maybe that wasn't her being immature. Maybe that was her showing us how comfortable she feels around him. And that's why she looks kind of embarrassingly a Green Arrow. Because that was a comfortable moment between the two of them.
Oh, and Green Arrow ruined it?
No,
I'd have to disagree with that, but... Huh?
I said that Green Arrow was an intruder on. But yes, do you disagree?
Yeah, I do. I can't say that, it was a comfort moment because she was clearly a hothead in the situation. She was the one that goes in headstrong. She's, that's her character. She is, she's the teenager. She's the one that punches first and asks questions later.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, you're probably right. I'm probably reading too much into it. But I really like that interpretation that Captain Atom is kind of a father figure to her.
Well, I mean, so. I agree, though, with everyone is like a father figure to her. Each one of those heroes means something to her because they are sort of what she wishes she can become. Yeah. She wants to be that level.
And something she will become as the series goes on.
Oh, my God, definitely. But, for now.
Yeah, for now. Okay, so then she does that, but she's knocked out, too. Or knocked away, at least.
Yeah, she gets spanked and flown away.
So then Green Arrow distracts it so it won't seriously hurt her. Great heroic moment. So in character for him. And he gets a rod. He ties it to his arrow. And then, just when he's doing that, the robot goes scorched earth.
Well,
and
you're missing a few parts. Because first, he scoops up 3 of the rods, tries to fire 2 of them at him, and he can't hit him.
Oh, you're right.
This is the moment, where he takes the last rod, and this is another one of the scenes where we see Green Arrow compared to other heroes.
Yeah.
He doesn't have powers. The Supergirl, the Kryptonian lost. The Green Lantern lost. The man made of nuclear energy lost. What is he to do as this human, as this person? He fires 2 arrows, and they don't hit shit.
And he does the only thing he can do. He keeps going. That man has no quit.
He uses the tool that he has.
Yeah.
He grabs the coolant rod, snaps it in half, takes a vine from the side, wraps it around one of the arrows, connects the coolant rod to the arrow, and makes this makeshift thing.
Wow, I didn't even realize. You're right. He does just grab a vine and do that.
He just
that's a great moment that I didn't even notice. You're right. That's such a great time of resourcefulness.
It was showing him being innovative compared to the other superheroes, where
really just punch things.
Yeah. What do they have compared? What does he have compared to them? And this is what he has. He has innovation. He has his intelligence. His plucky nature.
I wonder, and let's track this as the show goes forward. I wonder if that's something we're going to see more of as a show, or if that's just a theme of this episode.
Innovation, or
the innovation of the common man.
Yeah, I actually would have. If you think about it, I see a lot of that in that one episode where they have all the heroes that only have that are only human. None of them have powers.
Let's talk about that when we get to that episode.
Oh my God, that's one of my favorite episodes.
It's a good episode.
Okay. But regardless. So he finally, he gets this.
The robot goes scorched earth.
Complete devastating the land side. Holds up both of his giant massive cannon arms and is just blowing the crap out of everything.
Nothing's going to grow there for a generation. Sort of scorched earth.
Yeah.
And you see Green Arrow's cap on fire floating down.
Oh my God, yeah.
And you're like, oh no. Because even though you know that he can't die, because he's the main character of this episode. Yeah. There's that moment where you're like,
we just saw Captain
Atom lose. We just saw Supergirl lose. We just saw Green Lantern lose. Green Lantern. And all we have left is this guy who's just human. Yeah. But then in a callback to the first scene in the cold open, where he appears on top of a shelf. Mm-hmm.
Looking down on the bad guy, the common
looking down
thug.
on the measly guy with a gun.
Uh-huh.
He's actually on top of a cliff. How he got there
He's Green
It's best
Lantern.
not
He
to
doesn't
think
have to
about
care.
it. He's Green Arrow.
Yeah, a Green Arrow.
It's a plot hole, but it's a great callback, and it thematically works, even if it doesn't work physically. So we're gonna go with it.
Doesn't really make much sense, but we're okay with it. So we like it.
So,
and he's got the moonlight on his back. You know, the clouds are parted, the flames are licking his skin, and he's holding that arrow, staring him down, sweating balls because it's hot. Everything's on fire. Yeah. And he's just looking at it dead center. And he understands what he has to do.
And his hair is all messed up to show how crazy everything is. It's great. And he fires the arrow, hits the guy right in the head, shuts off the nuclear reactor, and saves the day. And then Supergirl, who you were worried about, comes in, punches his head off.
Oh my God, yeah. Like, literally just knocks it. She had punched it before.
Yeah.
And it was just kind of like, you know, it was taking
It was
the
knocking
blows.
it back.
It was knocking it back, but then she got knocked back herself.
Yeah.
This time she comes in, she is ravenously angry, and she punches the thing in the head, and it just flies off. Oh my God. It, like, you know, rock'em sock'em roboted all over the floor.
It really did. And then Chiang Mai is saved.
For now.
Yes.
But, you know, like, all the radiation that was just poured out onto them like liquid earth.
Although they said the radiation wasn't expanding, so I think we're just gonna assume that they dealt with it in a way that it wasn't Chernobyl. It was more like 3 Mile Island.
Yeah, let's hope God.
So,
you know, that random Chinese area that wasn't actually Chinese can be saved.
Yes. I like to think that they're brilliant communist leaders were overthrown in response to that, and the Justice League is also responsible for restoring freedom to Chiang Mai.
Yes, their freedom and their oil.
So now we're back at the Watchtower.
Yeah.
And Captain Atom is recovering. What do you think about that, by the way? That he's not actually dead after they implied he was dead.
I liked it. You know, it was... They were explaining he was on the verge, though. He was he was about to be dead. He very much so had nothing. They got him quickly. Apparently, you know, like a team came in, scooped up his suit, and they were like, you know, he is very much on the brink.
Yeah.
But they managed to save him. And it's a really cute, like you said, about with, you know, the relation between him and Supergirl, is he sees Supergirl. Well, Supergirl is watching him through like a glass as they pump energy into the suit. Like a medical
glass, yeah.
Yeah, and they're talking about how, you know, she goes, "Is he going to be okay?" And they say, you know, "Yeah, he'll be fine. Don't worry about it." And it shows the suit kind of like rippling, and then like his glove, his like weird sticky glove thing, floats up a bit and gives her a thumbs up. And
so cute.
Yeah, it was such a cute scene, and she gives him a thumbs up back.
Yeah, that's so great. And like usually, I hate it when they play the audience for fools like that. When they're like, "Oh, he's dead. We have to avenge him," and then he's alive, and everything's fine. But I think it really works here for 2 reasons. One, the reason you said, that it made it clear he was very close to dying. Mm-hmm. And 2, because they didn't dwell on it so long. Green Arrow wasn't motivated by his death. He was motivated by the fact that he's a hero and he needed to save people. So I think it worked because of that. I think they played honest enough with us that it works. All right. So now we have the final scene and another great... Sorry, yeah?
They have the scene between him and Supergirl, remember?
You're right, yeah. So, you want to do that scene?
I mean, like, it's all the same.
Yeah, it's a really classic, cheesy, I'm
going to say everything that you did wrong, but then follow it up with the good.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a bad moment in this show. It was a moment they had to do for the kids.
It is that kind of cheesy.
It was kind of uninspired.
Acting. It happens. Acting. Whatever.
That's what happens when you're dealing with a kid show. Even one as smart as this. So, then our final scene is actually another scene I don't love. I love the first half of it, and I dislike the ending.
Oh, I love the ending. I really thought that's what he is, man.
Let's break down the scene, and then we'll talk about it. So Batman beats Green Arrow coming out of the shower, and Green Arrow says he doesn't feel like he belongs, but Batman says that they need his understanding of the little guy, which is great. This is the part I love. That Green Arrow has this whole time, he looked after the civilians. He saved the guy who was falling off with the truck. He wanted to get involved because he was worried that the government was lying. Mm-hmm. That's Green Arrow right there.
Right.
And then the second part is the part I don't like. That Green Arrow is still going to say no after Batman insists, but then he sees Black Canary, goes hubba hubba, and agrees to stay.
Yeah, it's pretty much how that happened.
I don't like that. Because you set up him this whole episode as a guy who does what's right. And whose principles cause him to look at the little guy. And I think he should have learned and wanted to join. And I think they really sold out his character here for the joke. Which I think was an immature move that they're going to be better about doing in the future.
You gotta think, what is his character originally?
You're right. He is a womanizer. But we hadn't gotten that yet. There was no explanation. Later in the show, we'll kind of understand that he's a womanizer.
But, that's his character in the beginning. We're learning about him, man.
Yeah, but we needed a hint of that before. That shouldn't have been the first time we found out he was a womanizer. I don't know. I didn't like it. I think they sold out a character for a joke, which you can do. I don't hate it. I love the first half of that scene so much. Really, every moment between Green Lantern and Batman is gold.
Well, you got to remember, he's still human. He wasn't all about that super fantastic giving yourself up for the better. He liked the down low. He likes doing it himself. Yeah, and he can small worldly things. Like
Black Canary.
Like ogling women.
Yeah. So, not that it's okay to objectify women.
Oh my God, but it was Black Canary and...
Oh man, every female viewer is just going to turn off now.
I have no shame. Hey, the women in Justice League Unlimited are awesome. There is not a single female character that is not, done fantastically. I wish they got more screen time. Zatanna, she had such little screen time, but she was so cool.
Yeah. Yeah, they did a much better job than any other show for boys I've ever seen in making the female characters.
Boys.
How should I put this? Not objectified and not other. But I still don't think they did a great job. I think there's screen time problems. I think there's a kind of petty girl fight sort of thing that happens sometimes. There's definitely some misogyny. I don't know. I'm not going to try and defend women in Justice League Unlimited, except to say it was 2005, and that was 10 years ago, and we weren't as advanced 10 years ago as we are now.
I don't know. I thought they were all really strong and fantastic.
The characters were pretty good for their time and for their target audience.
Well, that's just another DC thing,
Yeah, no, I think it's a problem at DC.
Thing in general. Huh?
Yeah, I think the problem goes all the way up to DC, yeah. But
it's a comic book thing in general.
I think if we talked about feminism in this show, we would talk about nothing else. In fact, at some point, we're going to do an episode on feminism, I think. At some point. That'll be our big question. And we're not going to probably be that nice to this show when we do that episode, even though we love this show very much.
Wait, which episode? I
don't know. Maybe the episode where they go into Hades.
Oh.
That might be a good episode to talk about feminism. I figured after when we see a good episode for it, we'll talk about it.
Wait. Well, I mean, like, that entire episode where all the men, like, are about to die. Do you remember that one? That was in the previous show, though.
Oh, you're right. That was in the previous show. That would have been the perfect
episode.
It's still
a continuation.
Yeah.
So, it's Justice League.
Yeah. So if we ever do Justice League after this, maybe that would be the show to do. We'll do another episode on feminism there. Because there's a lot on that, and I love feminist theory. I think it's great, so I'd love to talk about that. Okay.
That's kind of crazy.
So, let's see. Now we roll credits. So.
Well, what about the question? We forgot the question.
How does this set up the key themes?
Yeah.
So.
Duh.
Let's see. So, what do you think are the key themes of this show? I have my own ideas, but want to hear what you think first.
Definitely, the grand global scale that this is, the enormity of the characters. You have so many characters in this one series. We have so many superheroes that we aren't so familiar with. We have so many villains that are coming in that we've never seen before. These are universal scales. These are galaxy scales, Like, going out in space, we've got aliens, we've got Darkseid, we got the Manhunters coming in, Green Lanterns, shooting out of anywhere. It's nuts. Absolutely nuts. The scale is fantastic, and this is a good way to bring it in.
Yeah.
We have a giant radioactive shooting robot with 3 heroes people don't normally know about, with Green Lantern in a foreign country.
Yeah, I think the global nature and just the bigness of it is a great theme that we're gonna see throughout there. That's, I think, what really draws people into the show. That this is something they haven't seen before. This is bigger. This is better. This is something that's gonna make them run to Wikipedia because they're learning something cool.
Run to Wikipedia.
So that's what I did the first time I was through this show. I'm like, who the hell is this? Wikipedia? Thank you. Wow, this guy sounds really cool. When I was younger with
that show, I really just kind of, I looked at all of them and I enjoyed them for who they were.
Yeah.
Like Booster Gold.
So.
Like Yellow Green Lantern.
Yeah. So, the second theme I want to talk about is the idea of how do you deal with the world as it is. And I think we talked about it a good bit, so we won't go too far into it, but that's epitomized with Green Lantern talking with the general. And how, in the end, even though he wants to split that guy's part, he is going to back off because it's that guy's right to kick him out of his country. And I love that. I love that moment. Are you there, Elliot? Sorry, we're offline here. I'm going to pause for one. Okay, we're back. Sorry about that. A little bit of technical difficulties with Skype. Now we're going to get back to talking about the repressive governments they had to deal with. Even though Green Lantern hates this guy's guts, he still backs down. Because in the end, the big win is not stopping the bad guy. The bad guy will be stopped. Yeah. The big win is respecting rule of law so that these people can have their own lives and not be ruled by the Justice League, especially by these American heroes who seem to be disproportionately American.
Right. I just really liked the fact that, it was them understanding, like, they don't want to show that, they've got the biggest gun, so everyone else pay attention to them and everyone else, do what they say. It was, we want to help people, but we're still going to follow the rules. Which that's another thing that really gets played a lot in this show is the fact that, how do governments feel about the Justice League, and how do how do the big people in power feel about the big power in people?
Because this villain is something they've kind of created. It's fear of the Justice League, fear of foreigners that caused them to make this giant monster. They bear responsibility for it. Kind of like how even though we made none of the choices in America that led to the Syrian crisis, we bear responsibility for it because we could have helped.
Right.
And that's why there's a big campaign going on right now, and this might eventually be outdated, to bring in 100,000 refugees. And I encourage everybody to support that campaign. All three of you listening.
Right. Still, it's definitely, 100% we're going to get into that. We're going to get into that episode of, where stuff really starts to hit the fan.
Yeah.
We really start to talk about the characters that have a problem with the superpowers in general.
Yeah.
And what that means. Yeah.
Yep.
I can't wait until we really touch upon those guys.
Yeah, it's going to be great. Any other big themes you want to highlight?
For this one episode or with...
Yeah. That are going to follow us throughout the show.
We start to talk about, what it means to have too much power. We start to look at the characters that really, who's really running, society and who really has more influence on the people. Whether it's the ones that, have the biggest gun or whether it's the ones that, really, it's just so awe-inspiring.
Yeah.
Honestly, it's crazy. I don't know how to.
I think superheroes can tell us a lot about who we are as people. Right. It's kind of what you're saying, that these heroes are, guys in tights and girls in tights fighting crime, but at the same time, they also embody ideas that we strive to be.
Mm-hmm.
Fair, willing to make sacrifices for others. That's another big theme we'll talk about after this one.
Right.
I think you hit on something there. That what maybe why we love these superheroes so much, and especially DC superheroes, who are the most aloof, I would say.
Right. I get that.
All right. And is that what you had to say on that theme?
Well, in all honesty, I can't talk about it anymore without absolutely going over the deep end.
Yeah, you're right. So I want to talk about our last theme, sacrifice. They hit on this a couple times. Captain Atom is great sacrifice there. Green Lantern sacrificing himself to protect the people by bringing them across the bridge. And that's why he barely gets the shield up in time. And they kind of imply that his shield would have held if he had time to really set it.
Yeah.
So, lots of great moments of sacrifice here. And, yeah, I think that's going to be an important theme throughout the rest of the show. That we're going to see that the people who are willing to make sacrifices, especially when we get to that, one of my favorite episodes, the Booster Gold episode, that it's going to talk about, an important theme of the show is that what sacrifices you make determines whether or not you're a hero.
Right. Especially with Booster Gold.
Especially with Booster Gold. So, that's the last of my big themes I think I saw in this episode. I'm sure there are more, and if there are, please put it in the comments.
Yes, if we have comments. Once we have comments, we will have so many comments.
We will have so many. All one of them.
So many goddamn comments. You guys better comment till your freaking fingers start bleeding and...
comment, and subscribe.
There's blood everywhere.
Up a YouTube channel. We will.
Yeah.
So, look for us. I can't wait to hear your thoughts. There won't be.
And how weird they are.
Okay. So, I think that's what I have. How do you want to sign off?
I guess we could just say, Thank you for listening. Tell your friends, or start listening. People out there.
Yeah.
And have a good one and enjoy your comics and your cartoons.
Yeah. Gotta enjoy those cartoons.
He says with a very little regard for caring.
What can I say?
Then.
I love my snark. So I think I'm gonna press stop now.
All right. So, Cartoon Convo signing off.
Signing off.
And until next time.
Till next time.